All righty, here we go, folks. Thank you for joining us today. We've got an exciting show for you. It is going to be about leadership. This is Mainline Executive Coaching ACT. This is where we talk about and cultural transformation, also act. You got to take action as a leader. And so I'm here with my partner here, Rich Barron. I'm Michael Bailey. We've got a great guest with us today, Marshall Townsend. He's got a fantastic pedigree background in terms of not only executive coaching, but also in the military, real hands-on leadership stuff that he's going to share with us. And we're going to be talking about leadership development, these 5 different levels that John Maxwell talks about. That's what we're going to be doing here today. So let's start out with Marshall. Introduce yourself. Give us your, I'm going to give you let's do it like a 90-second me in the elevator. This is a long elevator ride. Okay, brother. All right, so go.
Okay. Hey, I'm Marshall Townsend. My company is MT2 Leadership. And really, I started my career in the military. I had 20 years active duty as a combat arms officer. I was an armor officer, a tanker, as they call them. And then after I did that, I was asked to come back to the military and become a coach, teacher, and mentor for the Army National Guard. And I did that for another 18 years, where my primary duty was coaching. And then that's where I decided it was time to step out away from that and start my own company. Instead of working for corporate America, I would start working for myself and coaching, taking all that experience and sharing it with small businesses. So what I primarily do is I coach, I teach, I speak, and I do mastermind workshops and other ways to add value to my clients and customers.
Yeah, you're quite a curriculum developer as well as an author. I mean, you're working on a book, I understand, right now, and you're really good at developing curriculum that meets your clients' needs, whether it's individual coaching or working in a particular culture. So you've got a lot of stuff that's going on that you bring to what it is that you do and who it is that you are and how you can really assist people in this process of development as leaders. Not an easy thing. Let's talk about John Maxwell, somebody you've done some work with. You kind of been in his stable of coaches, you might say. You've gone through his process of becoming a coach, an executive coach. Let's talk about something that you mentioned to me, the 21 irrefutable laws. I believe that's what you call them. And then on a particular one, I'd like you to address the one that we were speaking about just a few moments ago. So open that up.
Okay. Well, if you haven't, the book is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. A good read, an excellent read to have. The very first law in that is the law of the lid. And that where it talks about we all have a lid as leaders that either, it basically limits. It's a lid on top of us that stops us from growing. So like say, for example, on a scale of 1 to 10, if our lid is our level of leadership is like a level 4 or 5, our organization is going to be below that, if that makes sense. So there's going to be a 3. And the people that we hire will be under us at our level. If we want to grow our organization, we've got to grow ourselves as leaders. So we need to grow up to a 6, 7, or 8. And when we do that, then our team will grow with us. And that lid kind of, though, can easily be, what stops us from growing is that we don't want to grow ourselves so the organization doesn't grow. And I always laugh to say that a lot of us think that the organization is going to take off and grow without us. It doesn't happen like that. As a business owner, it's you're the catalyst. You're the one who puts the lid on the organization. And if you don't grow, the organization doesn't grow.
That's right. Your team is only as fast as you are slow.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we'll think that we're going to go out and hire somebody. We're going to go hire an 8 or 9 and have them come work for us. But in order for that to happen, though, they need to come under us. And when they brought down to your level, I'll tell you that they're not going to stay there very long. If they see that you aren't growing and, getting better as a leader, they'll take your paycheck for a bit, but they're not going to stay around. They're going to be gone. They're going to go search out somebody of their level to work with. So a lot of times, business owners try and upscale themselves by spending money to pay for higher, the higher level, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for you.
Not at all, because people recognize authenticity. Mm-hmm. They can see what's genuine and they can recognize the phony. So, Rich, you've been dealing with some things that are kind of like that in a particular culture you've been doing some work with. Why don't you give you a little bit of your experience on this, the lid?
The lid. I think as coaches, we see this in a lot of different ways. And number one, people are afraid to go beyond that. They're afraid to really look inside and to want to develop that. And leadership development's not easy. Let's face it, executive coaching is not easy. There's a certain amount of vulnerability and courage and things that have to come along with that. And so we see this in a lot of ways. And, it's interesting that you mentioned that lid. And in some ways we see this where it's that imposter syndrome or that overconfidence effect that really limits that growth, limits that ability to go beyond that. And the lid concept is very, very accurate in terms of people we work with. We know, they feel like they've got it all already. We're good to go. I don't have to go beyond this because in their mind, they're already that 8 or 9, when in reality, that lid's holding them down.
That's right. I'm way cooler than you guys are anyway seeing. So what's wrong with you?
Well, I always laugh at it. I look at it as a second lieutenant. Being a second lieutenant coming into an organization, you think you're God's gift to leadership, but in reality, your platoon sergeants probably are 7. He's been in the military 10 to 15 years. He's probably a 7 or 8. You're coming in as a 1. And what a lot of times a lieutenant doesn't realize is that they have got to grow very quick. They've got to grow up to the platoon sergeant's level. And the platoon sergeant works for them. But if they want to be successful, they got to grow to that platoon sergeant quickly. And the real key of a leader is when they come into an organization is how fast they can catch up to the people that are in that organization that are operating. And that's true for any business owner, especially if you're stepping into a business, is you can't hang around at the bottom and expect that everybody else to come down to your level.
Yeah. There's some great lessons that you can learn from those folks. They've earned it the hard way. Let's talk about how you start blowing the lid off, how you start moving beyond your own lid or your comfort zone, however you want to designate that. And in this particular case, John Maxwell talks about these, I call them kind of the 5 P's of leadership development, and he calls them the 5 levels. Let's start out with the first one here. We've talked about this one a lot, Rich. And what it is, it's about position, that you think that you can lead just because you have the position. So, John, talk a little bit about that, and then Rich, you jump in.
Okay. Well, positional leader is someone who's got a position. I love that. That's another one of the books I love from John is 5 Levels of Leadership. Another good read. Highly recommend it. But that positional leader is you've got a position, but you're not. That doesn't necessarily make you a leader. See, the leader doesn't. The position doesn't make you a leader. It's the leader who makes the position. And some people, like I go back to that second lieutenant example, is they come in thinking that they're a leader and they're really not. And I have seen that a lot of times in organizations. Although they're the head of the organization, they are not the leader. And so, again, we kind of go back to the law of the lid. If their lid is low, the organization stays low. Yeah.
And so their power really relies on because they told you so.
Mm-hmm. So it's really it's my way or the highway. I'm the one who's going to direct everything from my position. And you've got and the people follow because they have to. It's their paycheck. They're really showing up for nothing more than having a job and having a paycheck, and that's about it.
Open that up some more, Rich, would you?
I think there's a really unfortunate side effect to what we're seeing that is, this level 1, this position level is a result of that. Is you've seen a lot of senior leaders that have left. And a lot of these younger emerging leaders are now in roles that they're not trained for. And unfortunately, they've seen, maybe work for somebody that was like that. So now they're in a position where their whole mindset is, I've got this title now. And in order for me to make my mark in the world, you're going to do what I tell you to do, type thing. Mm-hmm. There's certain rules, there's regulations, there's, boundaries, there's They got the blinders on, if you will. And I think we're seeing this. I don't know, Marshall, you've probably seen this in your circles too. A lot of these emerging leaders that really don't, they're in a position that they've kind of been thrown into and really don't have the leadership development or training. And so there are a lot that they have the corner office and the name on the door, but there are, on the flip side, there's also a lot of these young leaders that are struggling to get their foothold and don't know where to turn.
And they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared. They're highly anxious. They really don't know what to do. And so it can be a really easy place for them to go, well, I'm just going to go to my position. And that's a place that I'll work from, because maybe they'll find out I really don't know all that I'm supposed to know, which then again creates that lid, which stops them from getting to the next level, which is all about permission. Open that up a little bit for us, would you? Please.
Oh, well, okay. Well, permission to me has always been, is I'm starting to make a connection with, you kind of described it. I go to my office, I'm sitting behind my desk. People come to me because I'm the leader, so they march in and stand, in the military, 5 paces in front of the desk and talk to me. But then there's a point in time where I get out from behind my desk and I go out and I start meeting the people. I start learning their names. I'm start learning who they are, about their families. And I'm establish a connection with my team. And in doing so, people want to be followers of me. They want to connect with me, and they kind of give me permission to lead them now. So where at a level 1, they're there because they have to. Now they're starting to want to give me permission to be their leader. And that changes the environment or the culture of an organization when you do that.
So there's kind of either implicit or just saying it is, you're talking to me now as my leader, my supervisor, my boss, whatever it is may be. You seem to be interested in me, and I'm feeling comfortable with you. So I'm going to give you permission that we're going to work together here to create some sort of success. And then the next thing that goes to is, I know same thing, Rich, you've been going on this sort of thing, is once we get into that agreement that we're here about creating a higher level of success, it really goes to that third position, which is about production. How can I help you become more successful in your job and what it is that you do, what you produce, and what it is that, what's the success that you're looking for here? Would that be the case? Marshall?
Okay. Well, yes. So people are now looking at your company. They see your organization is doing real well. It's growing. It's being successful. You've established a culture where people enjoy working there. So people want to come sign up to be on your team. They want to be part of that. So they're looking at the success of your business, and they want to jump on and become part of that. So as a leader in this type of organization, they're not only seeing you, and by the way, these compound on each other as you go, is not only are they seeing you establish a relationship with them, but you're also being successful, and they want to be part of that success.
And they're seeing you do it with others as well. Tell us some of your experiences about that, Rich. That's good stuff.
I think this is the level where you can't fake it. Either you can affect change or you can't. This is a level where, you really start to need some skills and have done that due diligence, to be a leader, learning how to be a leader, having a coach, and being able to affect that change leadership. And, I've seen people who are at this level who truly understand the ability to change leadership. And we all know that when just case in point that, when these change efforts begin and these leaders start to impact the changes in the organization and start improving, a lot of times you see that bog down, that level of momentum slow down. And these leaders are the ones that understand that, can see that momentum change. And one of 3 things, they see the momentum change and have to take steps to change that. They see the pace of what's going on, and you might need to make changes in the organization to keep that pace going. Or bottom line, you change the players. In order to make that organization, that change leadership go. And again, this takes time. We talk about due diligence. We talk about taking the time to really learn your craft as a leader, not only as a leader, but as being able to manage the processes as well. This is a level you can't fake.
Right. And this is really where you take a look at it. Once you move into production, production has a holistic quality about it. You know, nobody's doing all the work. And so that is the process of relationship. We're working in it together. Now, production, where you're starting to break down the silos. You're starting to tear down the fences and the little fiefdoms, right? Where people think they've got all this power. Because until you do that, people are kind of hoarding the power. They're hoarding their secrets. They're hoarding their knowledge. And that production flow really can't happen very well. So that emphasis of moving in and let's work this through together. Let's bring this up to level, and doing that in such a way that everybody's feeling this buying in, or as Rich says, you're either buying in, you're walking out. That's the way it's going to pretty much work, because we've got a job here to do, and it's not all about you. It's about why we're here, what we're here to do, and about helping us all do really well. And this leads us up to that next level. So we're looking at, how can I help you do better at your job? This next level, this level of 4, which is level 4 is people development, is really about how can I help you as an individual in who it is that you're wanting to become, as not only an employee, perhaps an emerging leader, even as a human being. How can I help you develop to become your best? Let's give it to Rich here. What is that about? When you really get at that level and you're saying, you know, you're an incredible person, you got great stuff, I love what it is you're doing here. Let's take a look at how it is that we can bring out even better, or the best in you yet to come.
I'm going to give you an example of this, and this is probably someone who really emulates this, is Popovich from the San Antonio Spurs. Very successful coach. How many years has the Spurs been right at the very 15 plus years? How many times have they won it all in that 15 years? But one of the things he does, he focuses on the people in his on his team and his organization. And he sends out this message, essentially, that A, this is a special group and you're part of that group. B, you need to work, to be part of this group. We're going to help you develop those skills. We see that potential and help you develop those skills. And see, this is a safe place to give 100% effort. It's a safe environment for you to give all the effort you can in order to make yourself better. And one of the things he was really good at is getting to know his people, getting to know the people on his team individually. And there's stories of him, just being on a plane or whatever and dropping a magazine in the lap of a player saying, hey, I found this out about your hometown. There's an article about your hometown or something. Knowing his players and the people in his organization well enough that he could have that one-on-one development at the same time, have the ability for the real hardcore coaching that it takes to have a team at that level. They know it's out of love. And he was really big on, there's more to life than basketball. There's more to life than this. This is what we do as a group. But outside of there's more to life than this. And I think that's for a person at this level, I think he's a very good example of a person that would be at this level of leadership.
Yeah.
Well, to me, this was something very early when I went in the military. Is I think it's because maybe I watched the TV series Combat or Rat Patrol or any of those old movies, TV series in the 60s, is whatever happened, what always happened to the officer or the new guy that came in. He never made it to commercial break, right? Something happened during the episode. So I looked at it as, okay, if I go down in combat, who's going to step into my shoes? Who's going to replace me? So not only is my job to learn my job in my leadership position, but I needed to teach everybody in my organization to be me, be able to step into my shoes and to bring it up a level so that they not only did they feel like they were part of the organization, but they had ownership within that organization. And that really helped them also kind of take their skill or their learning to a different level also. One of the tools I finally taught myself with this is the most powerful leadership tool or leadership word is the word "and" with a question mark behind it. And when I learned to use that word, I learned to empower the members of my organization. And for example, and you're probably going, what, we don't, and if I was in like my office and someone came running in the door and said, hey, there's a tank on fire in the motor pool. Originally, I would have jumped out of my chair and run to the motor pool. But there came a point in time when I would learn to say, and place the responsibility for the next part back on the members of my organization, because then the response should be, and we've called the fire department. Okay, that's good. What next? And we're putting out the fire, and nobody's hurt, and we're setting up a time for you to come down and look at the damage. Okay, that's good. But up to that point in time, I was the key problem solver in my organization. So I tried to solve everybody's problems. When I started using the word and, kind of putting it back on them, they became the problem solvers. So that when they did come in the door with me, they came in with a sense of ownership. Yeah, there's a problem, but here's the answer. Here's how we're solving it. This is what we're doing. And they became my problem solvers for me. So that brought them into this level of where I was developing them by not trying to solve their problems all the time, but making them solve the problems and keep me informed. So that was a big shift in my leadership, is when I learned to use that magic word. And
it sounds a lot like you were training them in that model of the OODA loop, right? You're observing it. What are you looking at? What have you decided to do? And what's the action that you took? It's that, engaging them in the thinking process. That's tremendous stuff, because if you engage them in a different thinking process, get them to take the action, then you really are training them up.
And they started learning after a bit that I wasn't going to solve their problems for them anymore. So when they did come to me, they came not only with the situation, but an answer. And that allowed them to really prepare themselves for when they moved up to my level, that they were thinking in the same manner of have my team help me build my organization from the inside out.
Yeah, give them the permission, but also the kind of expectation. That's good stuff here. Let's go to the final P here, which is pinnacle. Talk to us about this notion that Maxwell discusses and writes about in the fifth level, pinnacle.
Well, to me, this is when you, as a leader, have become bigger than your organization. You're kind of your influence is not only within the organization, but outside the organization. Your effect on the community, effect on those other companies around you, and people see that and they want to be part of that. That's where you're giving back, through charities, and your influence is greater than the company. So that leader is somebody you're aspiring to be. And again, like you say, it all compounds on here. They have established relationships. They've been very successful. They're teaching people they're trying to replicate themselves by teaching others how to be like them. But now they've stepped out and influencing at a much greater level. John Maxwell is probably a good example of that, is that all the things he does worldwide with his programs he is influencing people at a level that we'd love to aspire to.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Marshall, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and have that discussion with you, sir, how do they do it?
Well, we can go to my website, which is marshalltownsend.com. And there's a place where they can schedule a one-on-one with me if they want. Or follow me on my, Facebook is MT2 Leadership on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
That sounds great. And, one of the things that as a leader, we want people to do is learn how to prepare. And if they're coming, there's going to be people that want to talk to you. There's going to be some people maybe a little shy. They may be a little worried. They may be a little scared, and still they want to talk to you. All right. And we talked about what Richard was talking about. This is a safe place. What would you tell them that Marshall Townsend is a safe place to talk about your needs and your dreams about becoming a greater leader? What will you do to help make them comfortable just to pick up the phone or, get on the line and make that appointment?
Well, the big thing is you got to get out of your comfort zone. And many times you got to get out of your own way. I know I see that in myself sometimes. I get in my own way and I don't do things, or I don't reach out and connect with other people. Leadership's a team sport. So the more people you get on your team, the better. And so sometimes you got to get off the bench and get out there and make contact and just, not be afraid to reach out and connect.
My guess would be you probably have seen pretty much all of it. So there's nothing anybody's going to tell you that you're going to be surprised about. So
I don't think so. Not yet.
So no judgment.
Yeah, it's a judgment free. As a coach, that's the big thing about a coach is that your clients never have a wrong answer. Their answers are always right. So you don't judge them on that. You're not in a judgment phase. You're in a coach where you're helping them understand why they've taken that course of action, et cetera. So it's always a safe place when I'm coaching with people.
Excellent, John. I tell you, this is great stuff. This John Maxwell stuff is great. It's great for you being on our show tonight, our podcast tonight, Marshall. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're going to have you back again. Hopefully you'll want to come back again.
Oh, I'd love to.
Safe enough to come and do that. Maybe not.
Well, and like I said, if anybody reaches out to me, let me know where you saw me here on your podcast too, so I can let you guys know.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. All right, Rich, let's wrap it up.
All righty. So Executive Leaders Act, ILEC.com. So you have just been given 2 phenomenal contact sources to help improve your future. Reach out to Marshall, reach out to us, because as coaches, we have a true passion in wanting to help you. We believe in you. We don't know you yet, but we already believe in you. It's a safe place to give that 100% effort. Reach out to Marshall, reach out to myself or Maikel, because the world needs great leaders right now. We are in need of great leaders, and we want to do what we can to help you become those next great leaders. So once again, thank you so much for your time tonight. Be safe out there. Take care, and we will see you again next time.
All right, folks.
Thanks
Have
a
a
lot.
great weekend and a great week.
Yep.